This story is not canon to the original FNAF lore. Please keep in mind this is a fan fiction fan film that I have made, and now I'm doing the story on Raider Schmidt. Thank you for listening. This is the story of Raider Schmidt. To make it brief, Raider Schmidt was born to Mike and Janet Schmidt. However, his father, as he noted, had a lot of jobs and seemed to always be at work. His mother always cared for him along with his father, and his mother was always supportive. One day, however, he saw his father leave for work, for a place he would not know for almost 5 years. This is what happened to Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt was working at Fazbear's Fright under the notion that it was just a normal security job just to watch over an abandoned place before it started opening. They were setting up opening and needed someone to watch over the place during the time. What he didn't know, however, during the beginning, that there was an animatronic that kept moving around. Things began to go to a much darker path, and he figured out the whole backstory of FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy's, and the entire establishment. But before he could get out of there, as soon as his shift was over, a most horrible thing happened to him, and it would take another 5 years before anyone found out the truth. Raider Schmidt walked up and found out his mother was talking to a police officer. It was determined that his father had died at Fazbear's Fright when it burned to the ground and buried him. Raider was devastated, but 2 years later, he would lose his mother to a mountain accident, which he would later find out was a lot more deeper than that. He ended up leaving school for a time and was in great debt, so he had to get to work. However, one of his new jobs he ended up leaving because of a man that turned out to be not a good person to be with, but he would find out why later on. He was getting tired of being falsely accused, yelled at, or even dealing with the guy's attitude. During this time, however, he would try to look for jobs, other jobs. Usually it'd be wise to quit a job after you find a new one, but he couldn't take it anymore. During this time, however, one of his good friends, Kyle Fitzgerald, would later call him and explain that here is a new job called Freddy and Friends Family Diner. Kyle was there when his mother had her funeral, and he knew exactly the pain of losing both parents over time in his life. He lost his father and he lost his mother basically in the same day. His father through death, his mother was more darker. But as for Raider, he and Kyle had a good friendship and a bond that lasted a good long time and would last for the entirety of this backstory. After Raider vented his frustrations, he got an interview. The interview was, you guessed it, Freddy and Friends Family Diner. But it was kind of perplexing that while he had knowledge of being a mechanic, they almost wanted to hire him immediately. Kyle later called him about looking up an ad about it, so Raider read and watched a video on the ad. He was pretty interested, but he still was kind of, uncertain on why they wanted him to get the job so quickly. And of course, Raider gets the job and he becomes the mechanic. He fixes the animatronics that were broken and beat up, but he didn't know how deeply involved they were basically in history. As he finished them, however, he was going through a very strange hallucination. And then Phantom Foxy comes into play.
Put him out!
Of course, this scare was enough for him to doubt why he should even work there. He began to realize that there was something much deeper about this restaurant. But he didn't really think too deeply about it. The hallucination was all that got to him. His frustrations were pretty up there compared to, people that were usually scared off by this position. Kyle would call him and then basically ask him how it went. And of course, Raider told him the whole hallucination story and basically told him everything that was going on. Kyle would also tell him that there is a night guard position open, and he took the day shift position for the security guard position. Basically, though, while that was an interesting job, Raider didn't think he would consider getting it, but ooh la la, the company would call him and he would get the job as a security guard on the night shift position. As Raider was getting ready for this interesting night guard position that he actually did not apply for, but they gave it to him anyway because they needed more workers, he basically would get an interesting call from someone that we would later conclude that is Fritz Schmidt himself. As things will go on, he will uncover more secrets, but this call would basically shock him the most at first.
Huh? Wonder what this number is. Hello?
Stay away from there! You don't know what you're doing!
Whoa!
Please,
Can you please?
run for your life! This is not a safe place for any child, any person whatsoever. Please, if you are hearing this, get out of there when you have the chance! Your boss is not who he claims to be!
Who warned me? And how do they know I am beginning my job at Freddy Friends Family Diner? Peculiar.
Peculiar indeed. Anyway, Raider still went for the night shift, regardless of the warning, because he didn't know why this person would tell him, and it would make sense that this place had a history, since he somewhat understood that they were trying to do better, from what he heard. He started the night basically somewhat normal, but he still had to do some things. He had to clean up the security on there, like a security sweep obviously, and he also had to take care of the electrical wires that were still kind of messed up, basically fuses and everything. His mechanical skills and somewhat engineering skills were needed to help out the establishment as it continued to grow. His first night, however, was also interestingly plagued by talking animatronics. It was peculiar that the animatronics would talk to him. They always seemed kind of cryptic. Raider would uncover later on, much later, why they talked. But for now, he just did his job and did whatever he was ordered to do, and he got through it. That's basically how he does his job. I mean, Raider's a hard worker anyway. He learns from the best. After he got ready for his second night at Freddy and Friends Family Diner, Kyle called Raider again. He gave Kyle updates on how he was doing, but he also explained to him the talking animatronics, which kind of made him a little bit weirded out, which would weird anyone out. Why would animatronics talk to you like they were talking to human beings like a normal conversation? I mean, that was Raider's mindset at the time. Yet, it would make sense that Raider would update Kyle because they are close friends, and Raider, this will break your heart, didn't really have a lot of close friends because he always secluded himself and he basically let himself alone because of so much trauma he went through, especially after he lost both his parents in the span of 2 years from 17 to 19. Night 2 was normal for Raider, other than Foxy running down the hall just to talk to him. And basically, as usual, he explained a more cryptic past about William Afton, which the animatronics have built up like pieces of a puzzle to Raider, but they didn't give him all the pieces because they want him to find out through other people. Raider, however, just continued to do his job, looking through the cameras, seeing the place was run down a little bit, etc. However, he would find out the darkest secret of all: the murders and the missing children. And William Afton. And Michael Afton, who was in the Springtrap suit. This was just the beginning of something darker. Kyle Fitzgerald would call Raider and explain to him he quit Freddy and Friends Family Diner. Why? Because he found out that Dave Elsey aka William Afton, was working there. So basically, Raider and Kyle were working for the child murderer himself, a criminal. But Raider couldn't leave. He couldn't leave because there was a clause in his contract saying he cannot leave the job during the first 5 days. Jeremy, however, never got that because he worked at least 2 days ahead of him. The dangers that Raider would face would be much, much greater, especially when he had to uncover more secrets, but also had to conclude to the fact that he has to work and then get out of there. However, he would later find out that's not going to be as easy as he thought. Raider would still work at his job, listening to more cryptic information from the animatronics. However, he was beginning to see a bigger picture about this whole Freddy and Frin's Family Diner. It was all a front. It was all a front for William Afton to go back to his evil ways. He had to conclude this because he knew that if someone would lie about their age and they are suspected child kidnappers and killers, and the animatronics were talking because of a tube, a DNA tube, that they had their own DNA in, but it got compromised with human DNA, it made sense that the animatronics would be talking again. But not as normal animatronics, but as like humans. Night 4 for Raider would be his last night as safe, because the next 2 nights, 5 and 6, would be much darker night, to a point that he did not realize that his own life was in more danger than anything. Raider started his night 5 shift as a pretty worn out person. He was doing his job, the tablet wasn't working, so he had to check the computer for information and all that. But then he thought he heard something. So he decides to get up from his chair and slowly investigate what was going on. But as he got over there, the door was locked. Raider was beginning to get anxiety from this, but it wasn't like a very high anxiety, but he was really shaken up. Why was he locked in, he wondered. He was just doing his job. And of course, as we know, the animatronics suddenly turned against him. It was a nightmare, he thought. This couldn't be happening to him. The animatronics told him things. If they told him things, why are they staring at him ready to kill him? It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. His world was falling apart. And, oh, by the way, gotcha, it was a nightmare. Yes, Raider had a nightmare. He came very early and basically started to work his night 5 shift. This would be the shift he thought. He would get a way out. They would ask him about the contract, he would turn it down, but to his horror, the door was locked. Just like the nightmare. But instead of being terrified or shaky, he is just confused. Why would he be locked in? Then the phone rang, and Dave Elsey, William Afton, talked to him.
Hello. So, you know everything now, do you? Including my experiments on children all those years ago. And of course, you know I'm not gonna let people spill the beans. They died for that, you know. But instead of going out to kill you, I decided to do a harsher punishment. I will let you stay the extra night, so there won't be getting out. There will be food, but don't worry about anything else. But in the meantime, there's no escape.
This can't be happening. What is going... Ugh. I can't believe it. I can't.
But it was. Raider was trapped. Kyle would call him, but for Raider, he explained to him that it was too late. William Afton found out somehow, as Kyle pointed out. And Raider was now locked inside. William Afton found this out because he had been doing some illegal wiretapping and got through some call logs, and he knows a lot of them were to Kyle after he left the job and said he quit. So he got to this mindset that he was warning Raider about what he saw. And of course, William wasn't going to let him get away, and realizing that the flash drive that was noticed was now missing, he later found out the flash drive contained information about it. You know, Fazbear Entertainment, all that. And now with Raider having possession of it, everything was found out. Of course, he's not stupid. If he found out about the, fake identity, chances are Raider probably is going to find out more information because of who he's related to, like Schmidt. And now that Raider's trapped, he can now make him suffer with 2 unfixed animatronics. This was intentional because he was going to use the animatronics, which were Springtrap and Golden Freddy, as a means to basically have them as historical figures. But now he was going to use them to try to kill Raider. This is dark, yes. But William Afton needs to wipe away any traces of information. And then we get Springtrap looking down into Raider's scared, fearful eyes. If it weren't for the intervention of Golden Freddy, Raider would probably be dead. But the 2 animatronics would later tell him more about the darkest secrets, including Michael Afton telling him about his father. But Raider, of course, figured that out already, thanks to the flash drive his father sent him. And of course, that information wasn't expected to be found out. It was no surprise that Michael wanted to kill Raider because he wanted to find out who's responsible. But, of course, he was basically upset. Raider would also be told that his mother was killed because she found out about the whole thing. This was frustrating and much, much sadder for Raider. Now his life was in more danger.
Hello?
Raider, it's me, Fritz.
Hi.
I am sorry for how I treated you when you were my employee.
Sir, we're being recorded.
Was clashing with my old past and finding out you needed help.
I do not need an assistant, but I would like something to drink.
Okay, gotcha. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Even though that was Fritz Smith that apologized to Raider, it was only going to be much darker and worse for Raider. Though safety was at hand.
Hello?
Hello. So, you made it through night 5. I'm impressed. Of course, I could have just killed you off. No, I want you to suffer. But not forever. Just until you die. You know too much. Haven't your parents told you never to wander about in places you shouldn't be? Haven't your parents told you never to snoop in other people's business? Oh, yes. You don't have parents anymore!
Despite William Afton's Night 6 call, Raider remained focused and calm. He knew that rescue was at hand. Kyle and Fritz Smith were at work, ready to save him and anyone that was still trapped inside. But Raider also told him not to kill William Afton, so they would not be different from him. He wanted justice the whole time.
It's only a matter of...
Here's Kyle! Kyle was able to break the door down and got Raider out. And Raider encouraged anyone that was still trapped inside to get out of the building. Freedom was finally there for him. Despite the whole freedom is here, he was still shaken up. Why didn't he see it coming, he wondered. If he knew this job would hold such a nightmare for him, why did he take it? Why would he take a job that held such horrible places for him? A job that killed his father, and a job that would later kill his mother when she found out what was going on. He wished the nightmare would end, but it wouldn't. Once in a while, nightmares of the incident would get to Raider. They never will go away, no matter how many times he tried to escape. The nightmare was eating and eating at him. And then one day, he was turning around and he saw Golden Freddy. He would wake up, obviously just a nightmare, but shaken up. During this whole year, however, he made a new friendship with a girl known as Sarah Green. She was understanding, and she helped him through this dark time. Sadly, Raider would find out that the nightmares that he was having, it would turn out that it was not over. Freddy and Friends Family Diner was still the talk a year later.
It's been a year since Freddy and Friends closed down, and people are still looking for the night guard that ran out of the establishment. We interviewed 3 people, and one of them is the lawyer for the now late William Afton.
I've been working as a lawyer for 10 years, and I have regrettably worked for William Afton. I have a will that he said to whoever last worked there will take over the establishment, but the name is not readable.
Honestly, who cares about the establishment? I mean, it's been over a year. Can't people move on from that and its history?
I admit I'm disappointed on how it closed down, and I missed out the opportunity to find out what was inside the diner. I mean, I heard about their past history, but I honestly thought they would change.
It never took long for Sarah and Raider to get along quickly, especially when they talked about Fazbear Entertainment and why it was not good for them because they lost so many people there. People they were close to. Raider still remembers the day it was closed down and William Afton got arrested from a news broadcast not too long after his escape.
We just heard news about Freddy and Friends Family Diner closing down yet again. Rumors are already being spread about why it closed down, including rumors about a night guard escaping early in the morning. People that knew about the company have mixed reactions about the closing.
Honestly, I am kind of glad it closed down. I lost friends there, and the memories still remain to this day, and people want to move on.
It's so disappointing on how it ended. I heard about the horrors of Freddy Fazbear's Entertainment, but while it drives people away, I am quite enticed by the horrors and wanted to know more.
People are still wondering what happened to this.
Raider wanted so hard to move on from this, but it was hard. But a news broadcast by Riley Patterson caught his attention.
Ever since the beginning, Fazbear Entertainment has suffered many closings. And with Freddy and Friends Family Diner now closed, people are once again wondering and questioning what is going on. There have been many theories and rumors going around as to why the restaurant closed this time. From one rumor of there being a failed health inspection, to another where a night guard disappeared from the restaurant under mysterious circumstances. More on this story as it develops.
Despite the interest, Raider said boldly, Fazbear Entertainment is dead. Even though Raider told Sarah that he had some bad experiences, he never told her he was a night guard at Freddy and Friends Family Diner until that very moment. Opening up to her was a big step for him, and especially since it took him so long, a year, to finally come clean that he was the night guard that escaped. It felt kind of good to talk to someone about it. However, Sarah told Raider something he never really liked to do, going public. Talking to Riley Patterson himself. He was skeptic, but later on, he would change his mind. Raider, however, decided to talk to the lawyer first. and explained the whole story, gave him all the documentations and even everything he learned from the past year, and why he never went open in the first place because of what William Afton attempted to do to him. Yet despite this, he was still having some serious doubts.
I don't even know what to do anymore. I thought I knew. I've been hiding for too long, but maybe I should take the next step. But should I? And if so, when?
People need to know the truth, so I think the time is now.
The time is now.
Riley was still looking up news about Freddy and Friends Family Diner or Fazbear Entertainment, especially rumors that Night Guard was actually coming out and telling. But he didn't know, however, that his whole career was going to be changed on a call like this.
Hello, Rachel?
Hey Riley, we got a call from a Raider Schmidt and he wants to have a talk with you.
I'm kind of busy right now, but what does he want to talk about exactly?
He wants to talk about Freddy and Friends Family Diner closing and the Night Guard.
Whoa. When is he coming?
Raider would show up in front of Riley's office and explain that he is indeed the Night Guard, Raider Schmidt, that escaped. And they were ready to go live on a broadcast later on. Of course, the interview did go well, especially now everyone was hearing it live on a podcast that would be released to the public. Raider explained his whole experience from being a mechanic, fixing animatronics, working as a night guard, animatronics talking to him, uncovering information that his father had, and even the time he was trapped, and even basically his escape. But he never told anyone that Kyle helped him a lot with this. Then, Riley would ask one question people wanted to know.
Now is the time to ask the big question that everyone wants to know. If you had a choice to bring back Fazbear Entertainment, would you do it? But based on what I've heard, I think I already know the answer.
Fazbear Entertainment is dead. There's no way I bring it back.
I figured you'd say that, and, but I will ask anyway, why do you say that?
This whole thing with Fazbear Entertainment was supposed to be fun.
A place for children to have a good time, and have a good atmosphere of enjoyment for everyone. However, instead of fun, I felt horror. Instead of children having fun, I could only see emptiness and innocent blood spilled from the bodies that William Afton, my own freaking boss, killed.
And worst of all, instead of an atmosphere of enjoyment for family and friends,
it became an atmosphere of enjoyment for a sick man whose murderous intentions. I will do anything to hide a sick obsession from anyone. If I had to tell anyone about this restaurant, I would tell them, get the freak away or you're gonna lose your children.
What now?
Well, guess that's the end of Fazbear Entertainment. Good ribbons.
Riley and people who've heard this were shocked and pretty upset hearing what Raider had to say. But the rant from Raider changed everyone's mind on why it should end. Because of the history, because of the past, because of everything that Raider had to go through. Riley had to cut the podcast after hearing this, but his mind was completely changed after hearing the whole rant, the whole interview, and the experience from Raider Schmidt.
So, what do you think we're going to do now, Mr. Schmidt?
Just call me Raider, Riley.
Okay.
And
Go back to school. Pay off debts and get a hang of my life. That's pretty much all I want to do for now.
I just wish that it didn't end like this.
No, I see what you mean. All this was really tragic, man. You shocked me, like you really did.
That's a good thing, because if anyone lived near close to that restaurant, we would have lost more people. I mean, people have been blind for over 30 years. In fact, this is 2022. People are still blind to this day.
Yeah, I hope people open their eyes too, because I'm on your side now after hearing all this, so thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And so ends Riley's experience with Fazbear Entertainment. But little did he know, there was still one more nightmare that he will have to face really, really soon.
Oh, damn, dude, that's epic!
Can you please be more quiet down there? I am talking to my boyfriend. Sorry, man, what was that?
Folks, we have just received many reports that Dylan Matheson has mysteriously disappeared and his brother Chad has also gone missing. The brothers are supposedly related to the family that brought the demon himself, Slender Man.
Thank you guys so much for watching this whole thing, if you made it to the end. Keep in mind, however, Raider still has to face one more evil. But in the end, though, Raider is still a much stronger person than he was before. But yet, this final evil will shake him up to the core. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with as many people as you want. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, like the video, and of course, if you guys want to, you can be a Patreon on my Patreon. And anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. God bless. You guys rock. Don't you ever forget it.